Francis Ngannou returns to action this weekend in an absolute barn burner of a fight against the much-hyped Frenchman, Ciryl Gane. There are sure to be fireworks, and many pundits are predicting an early night for one of the men, as both hit like a truck. However, it could be the last time we see Ngannou in the UFC. Stay tuned, as today we're discussing these rumors, plus other UFC news. But before we get into all that, news from the weigh-in. This weekend's World Heavyweight title fight is now official, after both men made weight for the bout in Anaheim, California. There wasn't much to choose between the two, in heavyweight terms that is, as Francis weighed in at 257 pounds to Gane's 247 pounds. The Giants will do battle to unify the title in the headliner on Saturday, and the top two in the division, who were also former sparring partners in Paris, seemed to have a lot of respect for each other at yesterday's face-off. The pair were seen to fist bump, which proves it doesn't always have to be a war of words. We're looking at you, Connor. Gane still trains at the gym Ngannou made his breakthrough at, and there is still bad blood between the champion and Fernand Lopez, his old coach. Should Gane relieve Ngannou of his belt, Lopez would surely get a lot of satisfaction, but Francis has looked razor sharp recently, and since he addressed the issues of gassing out, which plagued him in his first fight against Stipe, he's looked superb. The big Frenchman Gane, on the other hand, has never been beaten, and the pair will hopefully put on a show for the ages on Saturday night's card. Gane claimed the interim title with a win over Derek Lewis in August of last year, and showed he certainly belongs in the upper echelon of the heavyweight division. Who do you see coming out on top in this one? So what's up with Ngannou possibly not fighting again in the UFC after this weekend? It's no secret that Francis Ngannou and the powers that be over at UFC HQ don't see eye to eye, and there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding his future with the promotion post-Saturday night. One thing he has made abundantly clear, however, is that he will not fight again under the current terms, claiming he wants to be paid in line with the UFC's other top stars. He flat out refused to fight again under current contract stipulations and said, "I will not fight for $500,000 or $600,000 anymore. It's over. I took this fight for personal reasons, because I want to make sure that regardless of whether it's fair, I can make my case that I have completed the fight." We are big proponents of the idea that fighters should milk any organization they fight for as much money as they possibly can, as they are the ones who ultimately get bums on seats and make sure those pay-per-view numbers keep coming for people like Dana White. If the champ loses his fight against Gane on Saturday, he will become a free agent immediately, but if he wins, he will be contractually obligated to fight again under a champion's clause. Ngannou has said that should he win, he would expect a new contract immediately, something which himself and White have failed to agree upon in the past. He also said if he isn't offered a new deal, he would hold out accepting any more fights. So, how have the UFC reacted? Unfortunately for the UFC, Ngannou is one of the biggest draws currently fighting, so to lose him would be a big blow. If he does lose on Saturday, he'll be free to negotiate a deal with any other promotion after 90 days. But there are legal ramifications, and no one seems sure on what the exact situation would entail should Ngannou actually refuse to fight again. His manager claims the contract can legally last no longer than 5 years, and Dana White has also spoken out on the issue recently. The head honcho said recently, "You don't always come to terms with people. Listen, if you want to be with us, we'd love to have you. If you don't want to be with us, no problem. All good." Ngannou has also been making noises about doing a Conor McGregor and competing in a pro boxing match in the near future, something that would see the Cameroonian return to his roots, but also admitted that he would like to stay in the UFC should the opportunity present itself. He said, "100% I need to box. We've been having discussions for years. It seems like they are okay with it. Let's be honest, I do believe that whatever you are doing, whether the event is, if it's the UFC involved, it's just going to make it bigger. There is no question. So yes, if I box, I would like the UFC to be on board." Interesting. What do you guys make of this? A little more Francis news now, so stay tuned. So as we know, Saturday sees the return of the Predator, but the heavyweight champ has confirmed he has zero interest in meeting ex-light heavyweight king Jon Jones inside the octagon. The pair had been expected to face off before the Gane fight was made, as Jones had been bulking up ahead of a move to the heavyweight division, but it never actually materialized. Asked again recently about the potential matchup, Ngannou said, "No, I'm done with that fight. I've been waiting for that fight for so long. After Stipe, it was supposed to be Jon Jones, and that never happened. I don't know why, so I moved on." Fair enough. Really, how long can he be expected to wait around for a fight? Dana White also commented on that fight, saying he doesn't feel confident seeing Jones fights for the heavyweight title next. What do you guys think? Would you like to see Ngannou and Jones square off against each other in the octagon? Let us know below. Some news from the other world title fight this weekend now. Stay tuned. Deiveson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno have exchanged shots with each other before a punch has even been thrown before their title fight this weekend. The pair were involved in a heated war of words at this week's press conference, with Figueiredo apparently talking about the pair's last meeting. "Our Portuguese isn't the best, but that's what it seems he was referencing, given Moreno's reaction." The Mexican was responding to something the Brazilian had said and smiled to himself. He then warned the ex-champ, "Don't talk about the second fight," leading us to believe the blonde-haired fighter insider was saying something about how the fight panned out. Moreno won the second fight by stoppage after catching Figueiredo in a rear naked choke, and the current champion went on to say how we can talk about the first fight but not the second, which he won convincingly. The first fight was much closer and ended in a draw after Figueiredo was docked a point. In this week's weigh-ins, Figueiredo, who turned up looking rather silly with AirPods in and sunglasses on, tried to get into the head of the champ by bouncing in front of him before flipping him the bird. It didn't work, however, as Moreno retained his composure with his arms aloft, befitting his champion status. How do you see this one going down? Seems to be a little bad blood between the pair. Next up, could we be seeing Jake Paul in the UFC? Jake Paul hit the headlines recently in a move aimed at getting the MMA community on his side after suggesting that Dana White add him to the roster for one fight, while also saying that White should improve fighter pay and also provide health insurance. He also claimed White should share 50% of profits with the fighters, with many in the community agreeing with Paul, which was rather unsurprising. This was in addition to an earlier argument involving the pair after Paul had alleged the UFC chief was a cocaine user. White then offered to get tested any time in the next decade if he could also test Paul for PEDs at any time of his choosing. The subject of Paul appearing in the UFC was again broached recently, and when asked, White said, I don't know. I don't think that would ever happen. But listen, I never say never anymore. You know, I didn't think Floyd and Conor or that I would end up doing any of my guys against Floyd, because that just makes absolutely no sense. So after previously saying Paul would never fight in the organization, he has at least opened the door to the idea after backpedaling a little. He has obviously realized the massive earning potential for himself and his organization should Paul appear in the UFC. And let's be real here, Jake Paul would almost certainly do better than CM Punk in MMA, as we know he could at least box, whereas Punk couldn't really do anything. As always, thanks for tuning in today, and remember to stop by next time for some more fun and games. Why not do us a solid and share today's video with any MMA heads you know of? Bye, guys.